Good morning, all of you. This is Dr. Jyoti KB, Associate Professor, Government First Grade College, Kubi. Continuing from session 41, we will talk in detail about the last 4 or 5 sessions in this session, session 42, because we were not able to complete all the slides in session 41. Now in this session, before we begin, let us briefly sum up what we have learned in the previous session. In session 41, we learned Coleridge as a romantic critic and what is the prescribed critical essay of Coleridge and what does he want to tell about two views of poetry. So he has two important points of poetry. First method or first way in which poetry is written is to excite the sympathy of the reader. So the outcome of poem is, first method, outcome of poem should be, there should be sympathy of the readers or the listeners. So what is sympathy? Sympathy is fellow feeling, a feeling of compassion, feeling of generosity, something connected with something else. So you connect with the character, you connect with nature or some object which is described in the nature. So how is that done? What is the medium or what is the method to arrive at sympathy is to strictly adhere to nature, truth of nature. So what is found in common life, what is found in ordinary life is exactly described, exactly portrayed, picturized in the poem. So that will help readers to identify themselves with the object described. This is one method and Wordsworth followed it. So both of them were friends and both of them planned to write two ways of poems, two kinds of poetry. One is poetry of nature, the other is poetry of the supernatural, above natural. So the first is this. Second objective of writing is to create interest in poems with the help of imagination. So to make something interesting, some object, some person or some context, to create interest. And what is the medium, what is the method to create interest? It is through colors of imagination. So use your imaginative capacity and to come to a point where the readers and viewers feel it very interesting, to create interest among the readers. So these were the two methods in which both of them decided to write poetry. And first, in the first type of poetry, a sudden charm of light and shade of difference is picturized on a familiar screen, on a familiar landscape. So whatever we see in ordinary life, a new charm is added to ordinary life, ordinary characters, ordinary contexts and surroundings. This is one way, and this is called poetry of nature, which Wordsworth aimed at. In second type of poetry, the incident and agents were to be supernatural. So the context is also supernatural. The characters in that context are also supernatural. The excellence aimed at was to consist in the interesting of the affections by the dramatic truth of such emotions as would naturally accompany such situations. So you are choosing incidents and agents which are supernatural, and there are naturally people will suspend their belief at that point of viewing the poem or reading the poem, because the characters and incidents themselves are supernatural. So people will temporarily suspend rational thinking or logical mind in creation of such contexts and make it consist in interesting of the factions by dramatic truth of such emotions as would naturally accompany such situations, supposing them real, and real in the sense they have been to every human being who from whatever course of delusion has at any time believed himself under supernatural agents. So context and agents were made supernatural, and naturally readers will suspend their disbelief, and there is truth of emotions, but emotions are kept intact. So normal human emotions are kept intact in supernatural incidents and agents. So this combination is tried by Coleridge, and this was called poetry of the supernatural, which Coleridge practiced. So we discussed about the difference between prose and poetry in the previous session. Now in this session we are to discuss difference between poem and poetry. Poetry is an activity of the poet's mind, and a poem is merely one of the forms of its expression, a verbal expression of that activity, and poetic activity is basically an activity of the imagination. So poetry is what happens in the mind of the poet, and poem is the result of that activity. So the poetic mind of the poet is larger than its product. So that is the machine, that is the industry in which poems come out, or poems are the products of poetry according to Coleridge. Coleridge distinguishes between primary imagination and secondary imagination. So as we saw that Coleridge wrote a type of writing in which the incidents and agents are made supernatural while human emotions are kept intact, and such resulted or gave out of the poetry of the supernatural which Coleridge wrote. And this poetry of imagination had one important faculty within it, that is imagination. So ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋ ಹಾಗೆ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ವರ್ತ್ ಪೋಯಿಟ್ರಿ ಆಫ್ ನೇಚರ್ ಅನ್ನು ಬರೆದ್ರು, ಕಾಲ್ರಿಡ್ಜು ಪೋಯಿಟ್ರಿ ಆಫ್ ಸೂಪರ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಅನ್ನು ಬರೆದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಸೂಪರ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಬರೀಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಮೆಥಡ್ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತಾರೆ, ಏನಂದರೆ ದಿ ಇನ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಏಜೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ಇನ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಪ್ಲಾಟು ಮತ್ತು ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಇಬ್ಬರು ಸೂಪರ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಚಿತ್ರಣವನ್ನು ಮಾಡೋದು. ಆದರೆ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಇಮೋಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಮನುಷ್ಯನ ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಭಾವನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಸಾಧಾರಣವಾಗಿ ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಹೇಗೆ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತಾನೋ, ಹೇಗೆ ಜೀವಿಸ್ತಾನೋ ಹಾಗೇ ಉಳಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು. ಸೊ ಇದರಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಸಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೂಪರ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಪೋಯಟ್ರನ್ನ ಕೊನೆಯವರೆಗೂ ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ಕೆರಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಂಥ ಪೋಯಮ್ಸನ್ನು ನಾವು ಬರಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅವರಿಬ್ಬರು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಆ ಎರಡನೇ ರೀತಿಯ ಪೋಯಮನ್ನು ಬರಿಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುವ ಮೂಲಭೂತ ವಸ್ತು ಯಾವುದು ಅಂದರೆ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್. ಅವನು ಕಲ್ಪನೆಯ ಲೋಕವನ್ನು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂಥ ಪೋಯಿಟ್ರಿಯನ್ನು ಬರೀಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. ಸೊ ಆ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್ ಹೇಗಿರಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ರೇಜ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ವಿಷಸ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಟೂ ಕೈಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್. ಎರಡು ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿರುವಂಥ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಮನುಷ್ಯನ ಭಾವನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಮನುಷ್ಯನ ಫ್ಯಾಕಲ್ಟೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಅವನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದೀಸ್? ಏನು ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್, ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ರಿ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಬೈ ವರ್ಚ್ಯೂ ಆಫ್ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಸಿಂಥೆಟಿಕ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾಜಿಕಲ್ ಪವರ್, he harmonizes and blends together various elements and thus diffuses tone and spirit of unity over the whole. So what does this imagination do? It is a synthetic faculty. Synthetic ಅಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನು ಜೋಡಿಸುವಂತಹ, ಒಗ್ಗೂಡಿಸುವಂತಹ, ಹೊಂದಾಣಿಕೆ ಮಾಡುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಶಕ್ತಿ ಇದು. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾಜಿಕಲ್. ಮ್ಯಾಜಿಕಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಮಿಸ್ಟೀರಿಯಸ್, ನಮ್ಮ ಕೈಗೆ ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿ ಸಿಗುವಂಥದ್ದಲ್ಲ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್ ಹಾರ್ಮನೈಸಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಓರೆಕೋರೆಗಳನ್ನು ತಿದ್ದಿ ಸಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಂದಕ್ಕೊಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೊಂದಿಸತ್ತೆ. ಬ್ಲೆಂಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಹೊಂದಾಣಿಕೆ ನಡೆಸುತ್ತೆ. ವೇರಿಯಸ್ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಒಂದಕ್ಕೊಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಇಲ್ಲದೇ ಇರುವ ವಸ್ತುಗಳನ್ನು ಕಂಬೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಸ್ ಡಿಫ್ಯೂಸಸ್ ಟೋನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸ್ಪಿರಿಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಯೂನಿಟಿ ಓವರ್ ದ ಹೋಲ್. ಎಲ್ಲದನ್ನು ಒಗ್ಗೂಡಿಸಿ ಒಂದು ಅರ್ಥ ಬರುವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಕ್ರಮಣಗೊಳಿಸುತ್ತೆ ಈ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಫ್ಯಾಕಲ್ಟಿ. Imagination manifests itself clearly in the balance or reconciliation of opposite or discordant qualities. ಎರಡು ವಿರುದ್ಧ ದಿಕ್ಕಿನಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥ ಗುಣಗಳನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಾಣಿಕೆ ಮಾಡುವ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಈ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಏನೇನನ್ನು ಅದು ಹೊಂದಾಣಿಕೆ ಮಾಡಿಸತ್ತಂದರೆ ಸೇಮ್ನೆಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್, ಎರಡೂ ಒಂದೇ ಆದರೆ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಇದೆ. ಆಫ್ ಜನರಲ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಕಾಂಕ್ರೀಟ್, ಜನರಲ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಸಾರ್ವತ್ರಿಕವಾಗಿ ನೋಡುವ ವಿಷಯ, ಕಾಂಕ್ರೀಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನೋಡುವ ವಿಷಯ. The idea with the image, so idea is a mental concept, image is a physical concept. Both are combined. Individual with a representative, so individual is real feelings, representative is novels, short stories which are fiction, which are unreal things. So combining both is done by imaginary capacity, faculty. The sense of novelty and freshness with old representative, a sense of novelty and freshness with old and familiar objects, more than usual state of emotion with more than usual order, judgment with enthusiasm. So it is combining all opposite qualities, so different, divergent, conflicting ideas are put together by this imagination to give a common message. Now Coleridge talks about two kinds of imagination. Coleridge talks about two kinds of mental faculties. One is imagination, second is fancy. Within imagination there is primary imagination and secondary imagination. Now what is fancy? Fancy is a kind of logical faculty, the mechanical ability the poet has to use devices like metaphors, alliterations in poetry in order to blend various ingredients into beautiful images. So the person who has fancy is able to create figurative language, able to create figures of speech in his poems. So if he has that quality, then you say he has fancy. Now if a person has imagination, he can have two kinds of imagination. One is primary imagination, second is secondary imagination. In primary imagination, the poet is creative, original, used unconsciously. Human individual power to produce images, the power to give chores and certain order. So ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ರೂಪವನ್ನು ಕೊಡುವ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆದರೆ ಹೈಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕಲ್ಟಿ ಅಂಡರ್ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ರಿ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್. ಇನ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ರಿ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್, poetic faculty which not only gives shape and order to a given world but builds new worlds. So it is able to combine different things to give a entirely new message, entirely new meaning which nobody has so far guessed, so far imagined, so far implemented. So if you have the capacity of fancy, primary imagination and secondary imagination, then you are a real poetic genius. You are a creator. So you are a great poet. So this is Coleridge's understanding of the poetic faculty. Okay, so to conclude, we may say in his own words, Coleridge endeavored to establish the principles of writing rather than to furnish rules about how to pass judgment on what had been written by others. So he is not just a critic. So a critic is one who judges whether a literary work is good, bad, medium, average, whatever. But he not only passes judgment but also establishes the principles, the methodology in which a poet should function. So he gives the principles, certain rules, certain methodologies, certain ways of writing poetry in this critical work. Thus Coleridge is the first English critic who based his literary criticism on philosophical principles. While critics before him had been content to turn a poem inside out and to discourse on its merits and demerits, Coleridge busied himself with the basic question of how it came to be there at all. So what is the fundamental element for a poem to come out? So this was the fundamental concern of Coleridge. Unlike his previous predecessors, he was more interested in the creative process that made it what it was than in the finished product. So with this we will end the 42nd session of Biographia Literaria. So this was a continuation of session 1. So it is important that you remember that unless you read the first session of session 41, it will be difficult for you to understand session 42. Whatever might be the level of recapping which I have done, so it is better you listen to both the sessions, session 41 of Biographia Literaria and session 42 of Biographia Literaria, in order to understand the key points of the prescribed essay chapter 14 of Biographia Literaria.